Thank you very much, Dr. Necati, and Assalamu alaikum. Any engineers here from my people? Oh, look at that. So I am not alone here. Okay, good. We engineers are a little different in that we are based on logic, based on science, based on reason, and emotions are on the kind of backside. Today, I think what will make the lecture different is I am a physicist and engineer, and I think I know those topics well. And once you know a topic well, then you can speculate on what is non-physics and kind of present a picture of reality on the basis of what is physics, and then consequently what is not physics. The existence, other things, etc. And those who use my books, they know that I'm a very simple person. I can reduce things to the simplest level. So you should have no understanding, I think. Maybe Nejat will have some difficulty, but because he's a professor, but I think the rest of you should have no problem there. Anyway, today I will start with some simple question. In sciences, in engineering, when we, let's say, discuss things like, do we need, let's say, an agent, is science enough, whatever, the answer we get is, hey, science explains this. So what is more to it? It is explained. So, just, beat it. We don't need anything else. That is the ability to explain how something works. Is it the end of the story? And we will see that it is not. But first, I will try to put some perspective into physics. Now, this is the summary of physics. Okay? What do we have here? The physical realm, and the rest is non-physical. In fact, physics itself is mostly non-physical, which may come as a surprise to you. And part of it is physics. Okay. What is the basis of physical realm? You see, let's say, the matter energy. This is the basics. Matter also is a form of energy. So basically, energy. If you go down to the basic level, we have, let's say, the vibrations, electrons, quarks, I don't know, neutrinos, whatever. In a sense, are vibrations. And we have like 17 quantum fields, okay, that generates those vibrations. So if, let's say, you go deep into the physics, you go to quantum fields as the source of, let's say, these vibrations or whatever. And what are quantum fields? Are they physical things? The answer is no. That is, the mother of physics is non-physics. So the discussion of, physics, it is really, nonsense. Because physics is mostly non-physics. So you can imagine the rest of the existence there. That is, quantum fields, they are invented, they are mental entities. Because let's say electrons. The electrons in the whole world, they are the same. It looks like there is a machinery at every single point of the universe, and when a certain amount of energy is taken in, it is converted to the same electron with the same properties. Always. It can be charged, the amount of energy, mass, spin, whatever. Okay? So that means there is a mechanism there. And since it occurs everywhere, then there is a field. And those 17 fields, they are within each other. Okay? So the quantum fields are non-physical. Energy is physical. Why? We can observe it, we can measure it, we can do things with it, we can manipulate it. And what else do we have? Properties. Let's say electron has properties. Anything else, let's say some atoms like hydrogen, whatever, they have certain properties. Properties are non-physical. They don't come from matter. or from the vibration. They simply manifest. Let's take the elements. Hydrogen, for example, it has one proton. And we have the hydrogen properties. We have, let's say, 2 protons in helium. What do you expect? Well, still hydrogen properties, but a bigger body there. No, it becomes a completely different set of properties. Protons, what characterizes the elements there. And if, let's say, we were to invent an element which we can with 150 protons, can we predict the properties? No, because they don't come from the protons or electrons or neutrons or whatever. We will have to observe it. We will have to see what happens there. So properties are non-physical. And if, let's say, you split, let's say, helium into hydrogen, okay, those helium properties disappear. In physics, we have conservation. The amount is conserved. But non-conserved things, non-physical things, they can be created out of nothing, and they can be destroyed into nothingness. So those things are non-physical. Physical things, they are conserved. We have the conservation of mass, conservation of energy from basic physics, right? The true thing is conservation of energy, really. But as engineers, we separate them. It is more practical. Anyway, what is another related thing? The laws of physics, let's say, and the forces of physics. The best example is the law of gravity. We all know, right? Again, the laws of physics are non-physical. They are not made of electrons, protons, or whatever. They are the forces of physics. Let's say there is a pull between mass, right? That pull, that effect, it is non-physical. It doesn't have to be there. And you can, let's say, destroy those forces. It is completely non-physical. So what do we have here? Let's say physics. Matter energy, which is physical, properties, non-physical, laws and forces of nature. Okay, together you can look at them, the agency of physics, non-physical. Therefore, physics itself is really mostly non-physical. Therefore, the argument that matter is all and all is matter or energy, it is really doesn't make any sense. The practice doesn't reflect that. If you put things into their proper places, I think you can see the contrast here. And it is not only me saying that; everybody is saying that. This is nothing like controversial. No one will claim otherwise. But since they are always packaged together in physics, we perceive them as part of physics. Yeah, but I think this is the plain reality there. That means even the physical realm, it is simply a combination of matter and meaning. Meaning being non-physical there. And we can say like the tapestry of physical realm is woven out of threads of matter energy, which is physical, properties, non-physical, and the laws and forces of physics, non-physical. So this is what we call the solid physical realm, which is the investigation area of the science. Okay? And let's say a few words on laws of nature or laws of physics. If there is a law, we know that it reflects a will. There is a rule, and then things obey that law. Let's say in a country, we have the, let's say the police, okay? They enforce, let's say, the traffic laws. If you don't stop on red, and if there is a policeman around, you will get a ticket there. The laws themselves, they don't do anything. But the forces, the enforcements, they make the difference. In the universe, in physics, the laws, we know the existence of the laws because of the forces. If there is no influence, then we cannot obviously sense them. We cannot mentally decide that there should be some rule there. And also keep in mind that the science, in a sense, is simply the collection of rules, principles, and laws. Scientific research is simply this. What are the rules here? What are the laws? What are the basic principles? Discovering these things. It is not invention. It is there, out there. We simply discover them. And then, okay, the scientists discover them. As engineers, as sometimes we also discover, as engineers, we use them to innovate. We make new products based on that information there. So scientists, they don't get any patents because the information they discover is not their invention. It is not new. They simply noticed it. As engineers, when we do something, we get patents. Then we get rich as a result. Scientists, oh, they can win a Nobel Prize, that's it. Other than that, you know, they are poor guys. If you want to earn money, you have to be an engineer, unless you love science. Anyway, so the existence of science is proof that there is order in the universe. Because if there is no order, you cannot have any principle. Principle means they are obeyed or they prevail everywhere. And as far as we know, the entire universe. Okay? So the result of a lot of research, a lot of experimentation, a lot of observation is simply a simple sentence, a simple formula or whatever. That's it. Let's say the law of gravity. Oh, we knew it existed, but Newton probably just noticed it and formulated it. He didn't invent it. And you can, let's say, take some measurements and get the formula. Determine, you know, the parameters that influence it. Let's say Archimedes, for example, from the Greek sign. Again, he discovered, let's say, buoyancy, the lifting power of water. But at that time, they didn't call it law principle. Why? Because there wasn't an organized science at that time. But that is also, you know, part of science. You discover, and you use it in practice there. Therefore, science is really the pursuit of discovery of the constitution of the universe. So it is not only matter energy. It is simply the laws and the forces. And it is not like the policeman. It is that the policeman is within the laws that they go together, always. And Einstein says a spirit is manifest in the laws of the universe because there is something invisible, like, let's say, the law of gravity pulls things down at a certain speed or with a certain force there. And Alfred Montapart says nature's laws are the invisible government of the earth because everything is governed by these rules. I think a better phrase is the invisible constitution of the earth, of the earth there, because it doesn't really govern. It is governed according to those rules there. And if there were no order again, there would be no science. Oh, thank you. Now, let's also put the laws and forces of forces into proper perspective, into their rightful places, so that, you know, we have some clear understanding of it. First of all, they are valid over the entire universe. And their source is not matter energy. Let's say in the baby universe, before the, let's say, Big Bang, okay, again, the laws and forces of nature were there. Then, you know, they formulate things, and they are different dimensions. The laws and forces of physics, they govern and they rule the matter energy. So it's a different level of existence, a higher level of existence, although they are non-physical. They are not selective. All the forces are simply push-pull effects. Whether it is an electron, okay, two electrons pushing each other, or magnets, or gravity, whatever. Simply push-pull effects, okay? And then the laws are simply the formulations of them. How much will it be? What are the parameters? Whatever. And they are not selective. That is, there is no such thing as, now the law of gravity will say, that matter I will not pull it, or I will pull it just lightly, or I will pull it that way. That doesn't happen. There is no selection. So you can say, you can predict what will happen. Therefore, the scientists can make excellent predictions. Just like, let's say we know 10 years from now, in Istanbul, what time the sun will rise. Based on, again, these laws. No surprises there. But if there were no rules, no certain forces, we wouldn't be able to do that. Okay, and they cannot use a preference. They have no consciousness. They don't know what they are doing. They don't need to know what they are doing. We just observe it. That's it. Like a machine kind of set to function in a certain way. They have no idea why they are doing it, what they are doing, or whatever. And they have no purpose, no knowledge, no power, other than the push-pull effect. They are not purposive. That's why they cannot do certain purposeful things, just random events. You can, let's say, see as the causal agent, the agents of physics. And they don't care about usefulness, whether it is good, bad, what good will it be. And they have no sense of aesthetics or art. Just basic thing, push-pull, according to certain rules. And this is physics. It is the reason that physics is deterministic, because there is no room for exceptions, for selection, for preference, or whatever, the physical sciences. But social sciences is another animal. Why? Because we have now humans involved. And humans are not just physics. We are not only body. If we were only body, then we would be also predictable 100%. But you look at sociology, psychology, political science, I don't know, other things. That's why they use statistics as a methodology. But in physical sciences, we use observation and measurements. And if, let's say, we see one violation, then that principle is gone. There is an error there. In social sciences, if, let's say, you get like 20% violation, 80% kind of obeying, oh, this is great law. 80% is good. In medical science, the same way. Let's say you are trying a new medicine, 80 out of 100 people. Let's say they healed as a result of taking the medicine, great medicine. Okay? Certainly better than the random 50% chance there. So that they are different in that sense. And okay, where is, let's say, God in this? Now, is this the end of it? No. Everything is really in the eye of the beholder. How can I, let's say, associate the laws of physics with faith? Okay? Are they, let's say, some kind of different things, like, regulations of God versus laws of physics? No, they are really the same thing. They are really the same. And Nursi names them that way, together with other also writers. So the whole thing depends on your vantage point. Just a little adjustment, all the scientific information becomes really what? Divinity in a sense. Because you can less associate them. You can look at the laws of physics and forces as the great, grand, divine law of creation. Obviously, if, let's say, you believe in a creator, the creator using certain principles, science is simply discovering those principles. But science doesn't deal with who and why. Let's say, who put the laws there? It is not the topic of science. Because the scientific investigations are limited to the visible realm. Okay? Beyond that, it is not the topic of science. Because it cannot investigate it. Not because it is not important, because they don't have the tools to do that. Nursi, for example, defines science as collection of general rules and names them regulations of God, customary acts of God, creational laws, divine laws, Sharia of creation, whatever. That is, if let's say you simply say that, okay, these laws, they must have a lawyer, okay, who instill those laws and kind of enforces them. If you look at it as the deity that you believe in, it becomes a religious experience. Scientific investigation becomes also a religious undertaking. Why is it that way? Because you are simply discovering the laws of creation, what the Creator has used, and what it is still using in the universe there. If you look at it that way, then you are very comfortable. And philosophically, let's say, you look at it, let's say, this way from the creation point of view. But when you are in the lab, you simply use the scientific method, the measurements, observations, whatever, to get the details of the law there. Okay, for example, what can be the result of the laws and forces of physics? What kind of events? We don't need anything, let's say, beyond, in addition to that. Because the laws and forces of physics, together, I call them the agents of physics. Okay? That is what we call the natural events. You can simply say that it is it comes through this causal chain of laws and forces there. But let's keep in mind, as I said before, they are blind, deaf, lifeless, ignorant, mindless. They don't know what they are. Just this effect, nothing else there. For example, the gravity is the law that I think you are most familiar with. Then we have electromagnetic forces, weak, strong forces at the subatomic level. And these are the forces that physics have right now. Nothing else. And the natural phenomena, what we call as a natural disaster, natural events, that is not involving human nature. What are they? For example, rain, floods, thunders, wind, erosion, earthquakes, I don't know, fire, expansion, contraction, chemical reactions, whatever. That is, they don't need human involvement to occur. And there are certain rules, and we know what will happen if, let's say, you prepare the causes in advance. And we call this acts of nature. Okay, but if you want, you can call them divine acts, and acts of God, if, let's say, you want to go one step more. By nature, what I mean is no human involvement, or it doesn't have to be human. There is no purposive agent on Earth there. So this is, if, let's say, we had only the laws and forces of physics in action, this is what we would see. Random, useless, I don't know, hills of sands, lightning, thunderstorms, erosions, this and that, other things. Okay? You wouldn't see anything useful or purposeful there. If, let's say, have a chance to visit Cappadocia in Turkey, outside you will see those formations there. Okay, they are the above ground chimney rocks, and you look at them. There is no order, there is no utility, there is no purpose. And if someone says, "I think this is the result of the laws and forces of physics acting through rain, wind, other things, and I don't see any human involvement here," no one will object. Because natural causes can result in such formations. But there are also homes underneath. If you go there, you will see some rooms, you will see walls, you will see stairs, you will see mosaics as what you see here. And then immediately you say, these are not natural formations. There is purpose here, there is intent, there is a will, there is a skill, utility, and there is ability to do it. So automatically you conclude that human beings lived here. There may be also other creatures, but beings with mind, with consciousness, with knowledge, with purpose. They have been here, and this cannot be the acts of physics, laws and forces. This is something else. We can't draw that conclusion immediately. Okay, let's say archaeological excavations. By the way, anytime you have a question or want to contribute, feel free. This is a freestyle. Let's say, look at the left, okay? The little stones, big rocks, soil, other things. Okay, now if I ask the question, do you think these are just natural formations, or are there some purposeful, knowledgeable beings involved to bring them into this shape? Probably you will say, well, we see these everywhere. Naturally, these things will happen. That is, you don't see any purpose here. You don't see any utility. Therefore, you can say, yeah, these are natural formations. No human beings involved. But let's say you dig in and then you find a needle. Just a simple needle. Okay? And the soil may be rich in iron ore there. A piece of iron, one side is sharp, one end, the other end has a hole. You know, very simple. Again, we can say that this is very simple. We have iron here already. It may be possible that the iron atoms that kind of collected and the kind of, one end became sharp, the other some hole formed. Kind of, you can imagine that. But no archaeologist will accept that. They say I see here a purpose. Okay? This is done purposely. And there is utility here. It is done intentionally. It is done using knowledge. And then it is done for a certain utility. And they have the ability to do it. Therefore, automatically, you take those needles and take them to the museums. And no one objects. Archaeology is, respectable, worldwide science there. No one objects. Now, I don't need to say anything about the theory of evolution, like this and that, whatever, just a needle. Okay? Even if you wait a billion years, a needle cannot form by itself, by the natural acts, without any purpose, intention, knowledge, or whatever behind it. And archaeology is a witness of it. Just a needle. If you wait long enough, you can wait billions of years. That will not happen. And the whole world agrees on that. The whole world, no one, I haven't heard any counter argument. Okay, now let's go one step beyond. Okay, a sewing machine. A sewing machine. Okay? Okay, it has a needle, but it also has a lot of sophisticated mechanism. Obviously, there is purpose here. We know what it is used for. And a lot of sophistication, so there is a lot of knowledge involved here. Again, engineers, of course, are at play, whether we call them engineers or not. And then, obviously, we have the ability to do it. And, okay, needle may be a simple case, but now imagine someone claiming that sewing machine, simply a needle formed, and then, that piece, and then that piece, and then this, and then that. Just wait long enough, it will happen. It will not happen. Because the agency behind this, if you limit it to laws and forces of physics, you cannot even get a needle. You cannot get a marble column there. Okay? all you can get is those randomly shaped, random sized rocks. Then you can say, I don't see any intention, any purpose, any utility. It doesn't mean that there isn't any. But at least as human beings, we don't see any there. We can call them, like the laws and forces of physics may result in such formations. So I don't need, let's say, to go beyond. But a needle or a sewing machine, you cannot give it to randomness. You cannot give it to laws and forces of physics. Therefore, the materialistic ideology, I think nothing really to defend that. If, let's say, you simply think a little carefully there. Let's do a simple example also. We all played with Legos, right, as a child. And look at a pile of Legos there. And at the end, we have a house like that. Will anyone believe that those Legos, somehow there was a wind inside, and then, a lot of turmoil, this and that, whatever, that house was formed? No one will believe in that. If there is a house, that means there is a child or someone behind it. Why? Because it is intentional. It has utility. It requires knowledge. It requires attributes like, seeing, knowing the need, etc., and the ability to do it. If someone says, I know how it is done, I can explain it. You take this piece first, and then that, and then you put on top of it. So the puzzle is solved. See, I don't need the child. It doesn't work that way. Knowing how it is done, does not remove the necessity that there is a doer behind the scenes with purpose, knowledge, intention, and ability, the power to do it. The same with a house. But I didn't see the builder. I didn't see anyone, whether you see it or not, doesn't matter. That doesn't happen. Physics, the whole thing cannot be given to physics, the laws and forces of physics as agency. Because once you adopt the materialistic ideology, it is all you have. Matter, energy, and then laws and forces of physics, that's it. That's it. They simply cannot do anything other than formations there, natural formation. And the funny thing is, if let's say I ask you, let's say in Istanbul you will see a lot of those mosaics there. As soon as you see them, I don't think anyone has ever said, "Oh, look at that! Amazing how those colorful stones somehow, randomly formed such that we can see a bird or a butterfly or something." No one says that, which is very simple. But let's look at the real bird and the real butterfly, which is 1,000,000 times more sophisticated. Yet, you ask someone, do you think those things happen by themselves? They say, no, of course not. Are you crazy? Those things don't happen. And then the question, do you think those birds and butterflies just, happen to come existence by themselves? And they say, oh yeah, we see it all the time. They just, pop up. And what is behind it? Laws of forces and forces of physics. We are what? I think habituated by this, and we are blinded by what we see. The same way, if let's say there is a tree, there is a seed, let's say the chip on a design, you put on a soil, put it into soil, a tree grows, and let's say apple tree, and then on the branches we have iPhones, Imagine there is a tree of that kind. That will be great, right? It will be first, wow, can it happen? How did it happen? Yeah, amazing, this and that. But believe me, your children, when they grow up with the apple tree, okay, they say, oh, what is so, funny about that? It just happens. Yeah, natural. But it would be amazing. Just like this, you put a seed into the ground, let's say an orange seed, okay? It becomes a full-fledged orange tree. And then the leaves, and each single leaf is really a chemical factory, converting solar energy into chemicals, glucose, other chemicals, whatever there. And they are factories with no noise, with no construction crews, with nothing. They are amazing access. And then you have the oranges, nice hygiene, and all those things there. And no one is amazed. No one is amazed. Laws and forces of physics or nature there. So I think somewhere we lost it. We don't think deeply. If you do, I think probably we will be different people there. And same way, no one will accept that wooden rooster, okay, occurs by itself. Yet, no one asks the maker of the real live rooster. Okay. Okay, let's say again between science and engineering, what is the difference? Science simply discovers, engineers innovate, invent. Let's say kidney. Okay, biologists will tell you how the kidney functions. They'll look at it, they'll investigate, they'll measure, they'll cut it out, they'll do whatever it takes. They will tell you exactly what happens in a kidney. And then they'll say, oh yeah, this is amazing, but we can explain it. We know what's happening there. And many people think once it is explained, it becomes like, worthless. We know what it is. And then no one, let's say, feels the need to go beyond. Okay, we know how it is done, but, is there something behind it? Many will say, what is the need? Science explains it. Okay, now look at that dialysis machine. It does the same thing, okay? It is our making as engineers, and we are proud of it. What does it do? Again, does what the kidney does. And someone can examine that machine, especially if the person has some science engineering training, and will tell you exactly how it is built. And even give the instructions to you how it can be built. That is, copying is done a lot of other devices there. But explaining how that dialysis machine works, okay, doesn't eliminate the need to ask who built that thing, and then the engineers, the scientists, the workers, or whatever behind that machine. There is an army of people behind that device, from design to manufacturing. Okay? Therefore, if someone says, dialysis machine, oh, there is nothing to it. See that, few page the booklet here, it tells you all about how it works. So, how about the engineers or whatever? Oh, no need. We know how it works, how it functions. We can explain it. This is, I think, the what we hear. Science explains it, so it is like the end of it. There is no need to go beyond. Okay, I can explain the dialysis machine. Okay, but if I say engineers, who are they? The workers, manufacturers. Oh, I don't care about them. This is enough. It is not enough. Therefore, just the approach that science is enough, okay, and there is no need to go beyond. It is I think, not a complete picture. you will get part of the information. You will get, what, how questions answered, but who, why, those questions will not be answered. And lately, people realize that the random events, okay, cannot really happen. That is, humanity is advancing. In the past, you wouldn't hear these things, maybe 20 years ago. But nowadays, what we hear the most is information. That is, information is the most important thing. Everything is done. At least now they came to the understanding that those things cannot happen without knowledge, without information. And the laws and forces of physics, they don't have any information. Okay, then how do we then reconcile these? They put now information into center stage, but not information, the symbols of information. And viewing information as an informed agent, like informed, capable agent. Okay? For example, you buy a bicycle, and the assembling instructions are there. Okay? And then put the instructions near the parts, because all the information is there, and you wait for those parts to assemble themselves into a bicycle. How likely is that? You will wait a long time, right? But this is right now, I think, where the scientific community is, including the best writers, Nobel Prize winners or whatever. That is information. Okay, they agree that, yeah, we need information. Things are done with knowledge, but we discover the information. Information does it. Again, wrong. Information cannot do anything. You need agents who will read that information, understand it, implement it, and have the power, let's say, to do it. So information itself is not an agent. By the way, I wrote 2 papers on information. One is on information theory. The other is the relation information, entropy, conservation information, whatever. They are published in journal Entropy, which is one of the best journals in that field. Okay, now let's look at the DNA, because DNA is information. But before that, let's look at a recipe, just to see the absurdity of I think, the sentences that you are hearing. Now imagine, you see, let's say that recipe, okay, whatever dish it is, and then you put 2 ingredients there. And then that ingredient, let's say it is a recipe for cake. And you wait a while or something, you go out, and then you come back, all those ingredients turned into a cake. You see the cake, and then you see the information there. So, now I get it. Information is here, okay? And the instructions are followed exactly. So, I know now, I solved the puzzle about the cake. What is the other possibility? When you were gone, somebody came, kind of baked the cake. No need for that. Information. I solved the puzzle. Now, how likely is it that that recipe on a piece of paper will understand, read itself, understand itself, have the ability to pick the ingredients, put them together in the oven, this and that, whatever, and we end up with a cake? Zero, right? Zilch. It doesn't happen. Yet, DNA, okay, the genes, again, it is inscribed information. They have 4 letters, okay, inscribed writings. Instead of letters, you use, let's say, 4 letters instead of, let's say, 26 or whatever. And let's say you can read them as human beings. The information is there, but these are symbols of information. They are clusters of atoms, nothing else. They don't know what themselves are. They cannot read themselves. They cannot understand them. They cannot act on that information. Simply a pile of letters. Therefore, let me just read that one. How logical is it to think that a DNA molecule or the cell itself, which is a pile of blind and ignorant atoms, reads the gene, understands it, picks the right amino acids, and synthesizes them per instructions into the intended proteins like a skillful chemist? Yet this is, how most people perceive the world. Yes?
Someone might argue that organic matter
Yeah.
is different to physical matter. So like the example you gave of rocks being weathered away, that is something that can happen. But an organic matter that exists can also change form. So this DNA, can form itself. That's just coming to my mind that people might say it's organic. So,
Okay. There is no.
What's the difference?
There is no such thing as organic matter. Okay, matter is matter. Let's say in your gasoline, you have carbon, right? You have a hydrogen, and in your cells also, and also in these genes, you have carbon, you have hydrogen. They are exactly the same. Organic basically means containing carbon. Okay, the organic matter there. But materially, all matter is what you see on the periodic table in chemistry. That's it. Organic matter is, let's say, my body is made of, let's say, same hydrogens, carbon, nitrogen. I don't know what oxygen. Those are atoms are. Let's say the molecules are just like sugar, other things, molecules. And if, let's say, you take that person, okay, take a cell from it, and a live person take a cell from it, they're exactly the same. Chemically, they are the same. So there is no argument there. They are not different. The difference is for living beings, okay, then you can say, why then do we have biology? Let's say, isn't chemistry enough, right? Biology is simply chemistry plus life. And life is non-physical. There is no matter or something which is like, live. There is no live matter. All matter is dead, including what is in your body. DNA is lifeless. It is just a molecule. It's a mega molecule. Nothing else. Okay? Okay? Yeah, let's go to the basics. Okay, now this also may answer your question. Okay? Now, let's have a seed. Let's say watermelon. Okay? What happens if you bury that seed into moist soil and wait, let's say, a couple of weeks? You will see what you see here, right? Okay, now, I don't know if you can do it right now, but eventually we can. In a lab, we can replicate that seed. It is not difficult. Every single atom and molecule, okay, exactly what you see in a watermelon at the same place. So that when you look at them, okay, no one under the most powerful microscopes cannot see any difference. Okay, what will happen if you now put that artificial seed, bury it in the same soil? Any idea? Nothing will happen. Okay, physically, are they different? Physically? No. They are exactly the same. Okay? But in reality, are they different? Oh boy. Like day and night. Day and night, right? One will decompose. It is again, even if let's say you build it artificially, we still will call it organic matter. Because it has, those certain molecules, carbons, this and that. Okay? So the same material, nothing will happen. Okay, what does it prove? If I say you think deeply, there is something there. Yeah, artificial thing obviously doesn't have life. Okay, just a regular physical thing. But the other thing, even if we don't see it, there is something there. Okay, there is, because does life exist? Okay, it is also controversial. Yeah, to me it is very obvious, but to most people it is not. They discuss it. Oh, it is an ocean, or it doesn't. It is chemistry. It is not, because I give you the same chemistry and nothing happens. And this one, okay, life, and my next presentation will be on life. It does amazing things. Let's say formation of those leaves. These are not forces of physics. This is something else. This is selective. This is purposeful. It has a lot of knowledge. If, let's say, we try to do ourselves, okay, we will have a very hard time to make even one leaf there. Forget the rest. Okay? So, does life exist? Well, I don't think that picture alone will leave room for any argument. Obviously, it does. And it is something amazing. I mean, what is most wonderful than life in existence? Yet, life is not physical. There is no material thing. You cannot say in a seed or in my body, in a cell, and the cell is the smallest living entity. Like, oh, here, life is here. It is not there. Okay? It is everywhere in the cell without being anywhere. And it rules the cell. So it is a higher level of existence with its own laws and forces, influences. And we call that the soul, right? So does soul exist? Okay, do plants have, let's say, a soul or soul-like thing? Do animals, other things? It looks like there is. Okay? Okay, let's give another example on agency, because life is an agency, and a very powerful agency, which comes with a lot of knowledge. Because, doing what the plants do, those amazing acts, okay? It is not like, random hills, this and that, or whatever that. Okay, let's compare McDonald's to an apple tree. Okay, just to understand the agency. Now imagine we have all the ingredients, okay, delivered to the front door of McDonald's. The eggs, I don't know, potatoes, other things, whatever. And you look at the building, you don't see anybody. But you look at the other side, hamburgers, fries, drinks are served. Okay? Now, two possibilities. Number one, well, the gravity, I don't know, electromagnetic forces, this and that, whatever. Okay, the strong, weak forces, forget that. They are within the atoms there. Somehow, grabbed them in, did all those things, and converted them to, hamburgers. Who will believe that? Okay, we know for sure that there are, knowledgeable people there. Or there may be robots, again programmed by, trained by knowledgeable human beings there. Okay? And now look at, so there is an agency there, for sure. Now let's look at the tree. Again, we have the same ingredients, okay? And then some things happen there, and we get apples, for example. And those apples, again, cannot be doing all the laws and forces of physics. It is simply push-pull effects. All you can do is just, hills, I don't know, erosion, maybe some storms, lightning, whatever, that's it. Okay? Now that means if, let's say, we see something here, purposive, which requires knowledge and intent and skill, there must be an agency. And that agency is life. So this is, I think, to me, it is simple logic. And in my papers, I wrote all these things, and it went to what I am told, the leading experts on life. No one objected to that. No one objected to that. They just said that this goes a little beyond science, kind of borderline. So I got a few rejections. And then another scientific journal said, oh, this is fine, and they published it. Because this is still science because it's based on observation. Observation on physical realm there. So this is science philosophy borderline, which is understandable there.
What is the
title? It is right here. A Novel Theory of Life and Its Implications on Viruses and Robots. Okay? Yes?
So, when you mention the agency of life, are you referring to anything? Just in a way that can kind of work with the secular world, when you think the word life?
Okay, am I referring to what? El-Hay. Directly, no. See, this is a scientific journal, scientific presentation. If you refer to any, let's say, deity or something, okay, divine, it is automatic rejection. Science doesn't deal with that. Or hereafter, I do the same thing. Last week I got a paper on sustainability journal. Again, God doing that, well, I said automatically rejection. Why? This is a scientific journal. Publish it somewhere else. But to fall within the science, this is all you can do. There is an agency, and this is acceptable. People don't object to that. Agency is acceptable. And then what is the source, nature of the agency? It is not the topic of science. Science cannot study it because it is not physical. Then philosophy, and then, divinity schools or whatever, theologians, they'll study it. Then let's say they can base it to, El-Hay or something.
Professor, are we being limited by the secular definition of science? Because from the Islamic definition of science, as we learned yesterday, science is the study of that which is beneficial, that draws us closer to Allah. So I see science as the study of regular associations, but also there's the science of tasawwuf, there's a science of the tajweed, there's all these different sciences, and so there's that integration for me also. Is it possible for us, in the times that we're in, to reclaim the narrative, to now redefine what science is, rather than working from the confines of what this Western science is?
Yeah, if you ask this question 200 years ago, the answer would be automatic yes, because everything was within itself. In fact, let's say if you get the Newton's books, okay, he called them philosophy. Okay, there was no science, religion, philosophy, science, everything was just one thing. Okay, in the 18th and 19th century, with the advancement of, I think, steam engines and then scientific inquiries or whatever, then science became distinct in itself, redefined itself. If you look at the past references, okay, there is no, everything is science. Religion is also science, because science means knowledge. Okay, but right now, science in the modern world, in the whole world, is limited to study of physical realm, observable and then testable. It doesn't mean that other things are bad or not. No, they are still credible investigations, scholarly investigations, writings, whatever. but it can be philosophy, it can be law, it can be art, it can be divinity, whatever. Look at Harvard, for example. They have School of Science, they have School of Divinity, they have School of Law, School of Arts, other things. All are, I think, valuable, but science is limited to, because of its methodology, observable physical universe.
Okay. So do you think that should we change the philosophy of science? Because in this context, we only accept the creator, but the concept of creating Islam. So should we change the philosophy of science?
Okay, philosophy of science is philosophy itself. Okay, and it is also a branch, but it is not science. Science is limited, but knowledge, information is not.
But we said it should be measurable, it should be observable. So other than this cannot be a scientific article.
Yes.
I think it should be like that because in scientific we are observing the procedure. So if you put...
I think we can because Yunus has applied, so we have something to cover. Okay. There's a subject, I think, so it's a discussion for another topic. But what we really need to get from this presentation, I think, is in terms of, there's one major claim in basically science when you look at it. If you start from the Big Bangs, materialistic understanding will say, you get certain laws and properties and matters, and energy and forces, and everything is a product of that. I think what Yunus is actually showing here is saying that is not, that is nonsense. In other words, the existing scientific explanation of the universe based on literally materialistic understanding, it is false, and that's what you explained. I think that is, and the life is just another example that you're saying there must be knowledge, wisdom, will, power, intentionally directing to bring this, and obviously it's not only life, there are perhaps almost everything.
A lot of things,
right? So I think that is the core of your argument that I understand correctly.
Yeah.
So I think that's for that. There is one thing that I don't know. At the beginning we discussed that. We can clarify because you want to move to the live one. If you want to move.
Yes, this is the last slide anyway. Yes.
So I think for this slide, if we can, for this presentation. So again, I saw two parts of argument in yours. One is, as I just mentioned, that you are mainly negating the materialistic explanation of this purposeful, beautiful and meaningful everything around us. So that's one thing you're saying, that we can't get this from purely the matter of laws. That's one. But your initial slide, when you're reflecting on the laws, so you say the laws in one way doesn't have power, doesn't have wheels, doesn't have knowledge, it's just you put it very clearly. It's a push and pull. That's all. So, and obviously push and pulls by definition.
And random, purposeless.
Push and pull by definition requires a power. Because you say push and pull even. But I think your definition was that you say this is a universal constitution, which means that you describe this not to avoid the agency. You say this is like a certain kind of constitution laws, but they do not really have a power to enforce themselves. So that's our way of explaining that. So what I understood, you put it in one or two slides, but I think in overall discussion, it wasn't clear to me. So in a way that, can we define those laws as regularity observed by us, that which doesn't really do anything other than we describing something that happening in a particular way, regularly again and again, and we name that? Or do you think that the laws has an existence as like a physical existence, because you said it's a non-physicals? So if a non-physicals, like, let's say if you, every Friday at 2:30, give a lecture here, so can we call this a law of, just lecture? And will that mean anything other than describing the regular act of you coming here every Friday exactly at 2:30? So in that case, I think if you could clarify a little bit in terms of how we should understand the law. And I think the other part, the second part was clear with your examples. We cannot get those objects through those laws, so-called laws. But what is the law? What we truly understand from laws, I think it might need little clarification.
Okay, let me finish this and then I'll get back to your question. This is the last slide in this presentation. And by the way, you can share the presentation PowerPoint with the audience here. This one and also the live presentation. Here in the US, we have these machines. Let's say you put a penny there in the machine. And then there is a embossing machine, obviously, behind the scenes. And it, let's say, it kind of embosses a US flag or a statue or something and changes the shape, okay, to something elliptic. And then you get it from the bottom there. Now, what we see is simply those two slots, okay? Like a wall, we don't say anything else. But let's say you drop a penny, and then at the bottom you get, let's say, this embossed coin back. Automatically, what you infer here is there must be that machine there. Because the laws and forces of physics that we know, and the applicable force is just gravity, okay, which is very weak force, that cannot do it. So we can be sure that there is a machine of that kind, okay, kind of does that behind the scene, even though we haven't seen it. Therefore, science is, let's say, simply the absurd part. No one will question that, that penny goes in and comes out, because we all see it. It is epistemologically objective information. But what is behind the scene, okay, it is subjective information, because we don't have confirmation. There's a physical confirmation there. But that machine, mentally, by mental argument, by logic, should exist there. And I think that is also good knowledge, rather than saying that, the gravity does it, which it cannot there. So this is like the borderline, or how the philosophy and also science, they work together. Okay, let's say after science, the what, how, after, let's say, you resolve them, when, let's say, you deal with who, why, okay, then you have to go to another realm there. Okay, that mental world, the philosophy, argument, logic, all those things. And in the human mind, these are combined. So we see this as one. But when you study them, different people. We have philosophers, okay, doing excellent philosophy, and we have scientists doing excellent observation and testing. Anyway, let me go to the very beginning on the topic of law here. Okay. Now the laws are and the forces. First of all, their existence. It is ontologically, it is not objective. That is, you cannot, let's say, show me, here is the law. It is not. Mentally, you infer them, okay? That is, you see the rules there. Because everyone kind of does things in a certain, everything in a certain way. And then we see the forces, okay, feel them, measure them, or whatever. We don't see the forces, but we can measure them there. And then we can do predictions as to what will happen in the non-living physical world based on the laws and forces of physics. Okay? We can, let's say, when you throw a rock, for example, how long it will fly, what trajectory it will follow, and where it will fall, or whatever. Okay? Based on the laws and forces of physics. Okay? Now, this is the constitution of the universe. Okay? Now, you can argue that there is, let's say, a hand working, let's say, behind this, but it is not, my topic. That is, that hand in the universe is working using the laws of the universe as the template. Okay? So we know what will happen. Everything is predictable. Okay? And let's say the forces. Again, let's say the magnitude of the forces are whatever. You can argue that they are very precise. In fact, you may see some articles saying that if the law of gravity were like not even one, just a little less, okay, the atoms wouldn't form. If it was more, the universe would collapse on itself. It is the reason that we have the theory of multiverses. That is, all the things are selected such that life in the universe can happen. And the atoms, other things can happen. It's like there are like almost 200 physical laws, principles, constants, whatever. They all must have precise values. And just randomly, they are having those values. No one accepts that it can happen. Okay, this is the principle behind the intelligent design, and they don't object to that. So what they do is they say, well, okay, you are right. You know, it can 1 in a trillion times trillion possibility. It's 0 possibility. It cannot happen. But what may happen is we have an infinite number of universes, and in one of them you can have this set. So this is, let's say, the theory of the multiverse theory. Okay, is there any evidence? No, but you know, mentally you can always offer counter arguments of this kind. Anyway, let's take a break of 5 minutes, and then I can do some presentation on live. Necati Hocam, nasıl yapalım? Or any questions or comments or something?
You can finish your answer.
Okay, let me see.
Yeah, so please, but just keep your question short if you have, and more if something not clear on that, because we don't have time for debate. We can get you in touch with you if you have a debatable question, because he has to move to the second one. He has a flight.
Thank you very much, Hocam. That was always my consideration about the thinking about the science, the separation between science and the philosophy of science, and specifically while reading the piece of Risale and some other important, pieces about life and God and science and all other ideologies. So I couldn't understand something. You mentioned, maybe it's not clear for me, you mentioned the separation of science and the philosophy of science, right? Science is there.
Philosophy in general.
Yeah, philosophy in general. All the philosophy of science actually the philosophy itself, right? But let's say the evolutionary theory or the other theories behind all the scientific findings, they are also kind of a philosophy of science. I think the modern science, the problem of modern science is not adding the philosophy of science into the scientific findings, but is the adding of a divine scientific philosophy in the scientific findings. Because they're also adding so many philosophies on that, like evolution, like godlessness, faithlessness, whatever it is. But it's packed with the material, raw material of the science, always with the ideology, so-called philosophy of science. So I think here maybe we can make a division between what kind of philosophy of science we are choosing, because everyone, in this way or other way, is choosing something, isn't that?
Very good question, and very important one too. I think you hit the nail on the head there. Now, as scientists, we claim to be objective, that we limit ourselves just with what observation is, what our findings are, whatever. Okay? And this is how it should work, the pure science. And then the philosophy of science should be clearly labeled as philosophy, and it is speculation. So it has, its place, but it is not science. But often we see them as mixed. Okay, mixed. Why? Because the scientific world, they work with physics, the physical realm there. What they see, what they can measure, what they can test, what other things. Okay, and their world is really limited by physics, and their, let's say, ideology, philosophy as to how things happen. They do not want to involve any divine hand, because obviously it has no place in science there, because you cannot study it, you cannot see it, you cannot test it, you cannot do anything there. But in the past, there was no problem. In the past, science, religion, they were together. Okay. Later on, in the West, the science and religion, they fought very hard. Okay, and then they kind of separated unpleasantly. As a result, the scientific community wanted to do nothing with religion because they were holding them back, and then simply trying to impose things, whatever. They say we cannot do science if you impose things on us. So they separated the church and science separation there, which wasn't very friendly. And then the entire area is left to non-belief, which means randomness, which means materialism, okay? Because they weren't religion, although they are still philosophy there. And although they will not accept it, they will reject it. Currently, behind the scenes, in science, there is, at least implied, the materialistic philosophy. But this is not part of science. This is a fault. This is a fault. And many atheist scientists also complain about that. Let's say, for example, Robert Laglan. Okay? It is a physics Nobel laureate. He wrote a book, A Different Universe. Okay? He attacks, let's say, the theory of evolution, saying that this is, nonsense. What is this? There is no justification for that. What is this evolution? You say something, evolution did that. Another thing, evolution did this. Evolution. And he says, what is this evolution? Is it engineer? Is it this or is it that? And so he said, this is not science, this is anti-science. Many of them object to that. The sad thing is, it is, unfortunately, in the back of the mind of many people, even though they don't say it, okay, it is there. But it is not part of science. If, let's say, instead of that, we take, let's say, religion, let's say, put some kind of deity in there, say, kind of, God does that, God, it is again the same thing. Then again, it is not science. Okay? Again, it is ideological. And my opinion is, science, it has its methodology. It should be free of ideology, whether it is a materialistic thing or the, let's say, religious thing. You put your observations in place. You don't associate any meaning to it. And then the philosophers can come, take that information, which is objective information, can interpret it. As we are doing right now today here. What does it mean? Okay? What is, let's say, the best explanation? What is, let's say, behind the scenes? Then, I think both materialists can do that as a philosophy. Both, let's say, the people of religion, the people of faith can do that. And then whichever is more logical, people, let's say, can simply choose the one that they find more plausible. Yes?
I guess the way you have defined the science, it's very much exclusive, kind of reductionist definition. In the beginning of your presentation, you talked about reconciling between religion or science. You mentioned the two, reconcile something. Now, what we see is watertight compartmentalization, which is furthering the idea of secularization. So, where is the scope for reconciliation? It's again creating a Newton in the knowledge, a dichotomy. This is this and this is that. They cannot come together. This is the actual problem. We are trying to bring things together. We are trying to bring meaning in the science. But the way you present it is like, no, there is no meaning in the whole process.
Yeah, again, we're moving to the very fast space. So it's actually it reminds me when I met Dr. Yunus first time in Kashmir.
Yes.
And we had over 2 hour, 3 hour debate discussion. And since then, so we actually engage in many rounds of discussion and are absolutely, a very good friend with each other. You can clearly see that. So there's one called divergent thinking, which means that you can have different view, you have to respect each other, you can make your argument. But my understanding to your answer is very briefly, what he actually means, because this way you're going to take a long time, I want to briefly answer. He has a particular understanding of a science with limited scopes being neutral. And like you, I believe that's quite utopic, not reality now. But that's what really he has in his mind. In this case, he will say, look, let's define science in this one, and science limit to the observation, experimentation. Let's bring the interpretation through the philosophy and religion, so don't mix them up. But that's not happening. But again, that's a different view. So therefore, let's don't go there and let him to make his presentation live.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's better to
I think you summarized it well. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Necat Hocam. Okay. Now, this presentation will deal with biology. And when we say biology, what is the most important term there? Phrase, word in biology. What makes biology biology? Life. That's it. And you would think that the first thing biology would study is life, right? But it doesn't. Okay? Biology is a science. Biology doesn't study life. It cannot study life. Why? Because life is non-physical. Okay? It cannot study life. There are over 100 definitions on life. No one likes them. I also have a definition. I think mine is good. Of course, I am prejudiced. Right now, I will take biology and what is observed, and I will do, what you are saying. They get together in a sense, and then from observations, what conclusions can we draw? Okay, and this, okay, and if let's say this is done correctly, it is what I am trying to do. It will go back and reshape science. For example, these papers maybe in 10 years' time can make their way into biology textbooks, because this is very logical, very credible arguments about this life. Just as a seed example, simple example, but I think makes the case there. Anyway, these are the papers Necati mentioned. Okay. And life. No one understands life, okay, at least scientifically speaking. Of course, you can say it is reflection of Ismi al-Hayy, okay, which is, fine, but it wouldn't carry any weight in the scientific circles, okay. And it is viewed as a mystery. And when you look at the living beings, I can say my approach is the scientific view, okay? I think everybody will agree that in living things, there is a higher level of regularity. That is, in the universe, we have the laws and force of physics. It gives it, a certain, let's say the atoms, for example, molecules, other things, whatever, a certain order. But if you look at a living being, whether it is a bacteria, a human cell, or a plant or human body, there is a huge level of regularity, a very high level of order. And a single cell, so in the human body we have like 37 trillion cells, and a single cell is thousands of times more sophisticated than the most sophisticated chemical factory in the world. And the products that they generate, the activity in there, all those things, which is hardly, visible. Just, like needle point there, maybe the head. Very small thing. And the level of sophistication, sophistication is regularity, the things happening there, amazing. And if there is order, that means there are principles and laws. And if things are happening, that means there are influences, okay? The push-pull effects, which are at a different level, okay? Therefore, in living beings, what we observe is a higher level of governing laws and influences associated with life. Every biologist, I think, will agree with that. And then what the science of biology, what they do is simply discover these principles. Why, what is happening? Why are they happening in a certain way? And then understanding what is going on there. But mostly they really watch with amazement. But life is higher level of regularity. And what we see here is, now imagine a cell. Can we make a cell? Yes. Including the DNA, we can synthesize the molecule. That is artificially. For example, E. coli bacteria, very simple one. We can, let's say, the membrane, the water inside, all the molecules, DNA, this and that. Even if we are not perfect, at least that it is conceivable that we can do it. And let's say in the lab, we did that. We made a cell, okay? And which is exactly what? A living cell. What will happen? Nothing, just like the seed. Just a bag of molecules, that's it, okay? That is the activity associated with living things doesn't come from the material inside, from the molecules. When there is life, that life comes, not only makes it living, it subjugates all the molecules in there. Pushes them around, orders them, combines them, does this, does that, builds new things, like in a factory. So that life, even at cell level, okay, even at cell level, subjugates matter. Because a lifeless cell, nothing. Just laws and forces of physics, gravity, this and that, maybe there is a wind or something, or temperature rising, whatever. Living cell, amazing. Therefore, that peculiar, mysterious life, it is, I think, the greatest existence. Yet, in the scientific community, we discuss, does really life exist? Is there such a thing? Why? Because we don't see it with this eye. But mentally, it is very clear there. And again, based on what we see, we can say that life is an agency with causal power, because it really dominates the physical reality inside. Okay?
Again, agency with causal.
With causal power. That is, makes things happen. Okay? In human beings, we call it soul. Let's say when your soul is gone, you have body. The body is just a chunk of matter. It will just decompose. Okay? And let's pass that. And okay, what is life? Okay. I take care of it. Oops, I don't.
Okay.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Okay. Okay. What is? A psychologist once asked me, "What is soul?" I said, very simple. Imagine a living body and a dead body. All the differences between a living body and dead body is soul. It is a chunk of matter, one, okay? You just, bury it. But let's say the things I do right now, move around, talk, I don't know, see, argue, have pain or pleasure or whatever, okay? Everything is associated, all these things, with something we call soul. Okay, life is like the center of it, or call it life, doesn't matter. Okay, and as I mentioned before, when chemistry meets life and combine, okay, then you have biology. When, let's say, life is gone, the biology reduces to chemistry. It is that simple. Okay, and as I think somebody asked, living beings, like being, life being chemical reactions. This is the, again, prevailing theory that life is chemical reactions. Okay, now living beings have a lot of chemical reactions, but no chemical reaction has ever produced life. Okay, which means that theory should be dead. No chemical reaction or reactions has ever produced life. If you want, let's say, life, you have to start with a living being and then manipulate it. Okay? But if, let's say, you limit yourself with a materialistic philosophy or worldview, then you are stuck. It is the reason that give them some time, okay? These will be part of regular science. Because this is, I think, the logic. It is not, something like dogmatic or something. This is, I think, pure logic, and it's a necessity. Otherwise, you cannot do anything. Okay, for example, in a river, a live dog, as you see there, okay, versus a dead dog or a log. On a river, let's say in Canada, you see maybe the logs, moving in rivers there. You can predict what will happen to them. Okay, using Navier-Stokes equations, okay, laws of physics, force of physics, you can predict which log will end up where in what time. Okay, dead dog, same thing. Okay, because it's lifeless. Laws of physics, nothing else. A living being, okay, no one can predict. All the scientists and engineers in the world, okay, even if they come together, predict what the dog will be, they cannot. Why? Because it is beyond the laws and force of physics. Okay? That means there is another set of laws and forces. It is the reason that I define life as a supplemental set of laws and influences that act over a confined space instead of universe, that constitutes the domain of life superimposed on the universal laws and forces of physics, and a living being as a natural entity, natural meaning not man-made, because we cannot make life, and it is not likely that we can make life, because making life means making new laws of physics.
So what's the difference between life and soul?
Soul is more comprehensive. You can use them, I think, interchangeably. But soul is the entity. Life is general. Okay, life is shared. But the main thing of a soul is still life. And life comes with all the attributes or other things. And it is, again, simple. In the human beings, we call it the soul. Maybe sometimes higher animals. But plants, it is said that they don't have souls, but life. And a cell, for example, or a bacteria, again, life, soul, we don't use that word. It is gray area. I think you can use them interchangeably. You will get the same message, yeah. Anyway, so a living being, a natural entity whose internal changes and external behavior cannot be predicted by the universal laws and forces of physics alone at all times. Meaning the living beings have something which called beyond laws and forces of physics. Even let's say a seed, normally it looks lifeless. Okay, it is the reason I put the phrase at all times. But as soon as, let's say, you add some water or something, kind of trigger the activation, it will come alive. Whereas an artificial seed will not do that. in, let's say, life sciences, virus, like the coronavirus, there is a lot of argument. Is virus alive or not? Okay? I think that it shows the level of our understanding of life. The virus does a lot of amazing things, but they limit it to some biological functions. If you follow that route, okay, obviously there is argument. But with this definition, it is very clear. Virus is alive. Okay? It is not pile of matter. It goes beyond. There is an agency there. Like, grabbing something, enslaving other cells, doing this, doing that, whatever. Same, let's say, with fish. Okay, we went through that. And then intriguing questions, follow. For example, the question of will robots be live in the future? Okay? Can we make life, living beings, emotions, okay? And somehow, can we make living robots other things? Will they have emotions? Do they pose existential danger for human beings? Like, will they have intentions, plan? How can I, get rid of those stupid humans or something? We are more intelligent than them. Will they do that? Okay? If you don't understand life, you cannot really answer these questions. I think in the paper, it is you can get it downloaded freely, open free access. And I think the arguments are, you will find them very plausible. And more arguments that we are having, will robots have rights? Let's say you bought a robot, okay? If you don't like it, let's say, can you take a hammer, just, get rid of it? Or will they, kind of the police will come and take you to jail? You killed a robot, something. So these are the arguments that are, I think, will be, I think, more common in the future there. And for example, Saudi Arabia, they gave Sophia citizenship with a passport, a citizen of the country. And these are, may sound silly, but these are serious arguments. And then questions like, will they have emotions, consciousness, intent in the future? Like decide to do some things beyond our control, okay? Now, this is a full-fledged theory on life in the paper. And, for example, the answer to that question is no, based on the theory. Why? First of all, life is a field phenomenon, okay? And it comes with a set of laws, influences, qualities that vary considerably from species to species. And certain qualities like consciousness, emotion, desires are observed only in living beings and never in non-living ones. And robots are non-living. These qualities disappear when a living being, not beings, dies. Okay. Now that means for non-living beings, having emotions is out of question. Unless you have life, you cannot have consciousness, you cannot have emotions, you cannot have intent. They may fool us because they imitate human beings. The simulations are so good, but they have no idea what they are doing. Okay. Therefore, a good scientific theory, must be able to make predictions. My theory predicts that no need to worry, and most AI experts say the same thing. Don't worry about that. This is just pure speculation. It is a code, what we call AI, artificial intelligence, nothing else. Anyway, and then the characteristics of life. I came up with 18 distinctive characteristics. Now, on one side, you have, let's say, life. People discuss, does it exist or not? Okay? And then, here I am, coming up with 18 distinctive characteristics. Like existence, being agencies, subjectivity, purposiveness, whatever. Let me just mention a few of them, because we will not have time, but this presentation will be given to you. The first one is existence. That is, I think we should put the discussion really, we should end that discussion whether it exists or not. Because that example we discussed, okay, this shows that, I think, convincingly, there is something called life. Obviously, it is not material, it is not chemistry, it is not molecules, it is nothing. Because you get two seeds, okay, exact replica of themselves. One is artificial, man-made, starting from non-living. The other is natural. It is, let's say, a living or alive seed. One germinates and grows, does amazing things, gives apples, watermelons, whatever. The other one just sits there, rots. Okay? So Einstein is famous for thought questions. And he convinced many people with very simple thought experiments. And this is also an experiment. Yeah, I think it is very convincing that there is something called life. So it is undeniable. Okay? So it is there. Why? Because based on what we observe, that is the logical conclusion. Okay, do we do it at other places? Yes, we do. Let's say in physics. You hear about dark matter, dark energy, right? It is some of you in science, let's say the engineers, scientists. Okay? There is no indication what they are, where they are, or something. But they figured out that the current gravitational force, okay, is not sufficient to hold the galaxies together. There must be more. So either our understanding the law of gravity is wrong, which no one thinks so, or there must be more mass, so that the gravity, I think, holds matter as it is appearing to the observations. So the physicists invented dark matter. Why? Because observations require that. There is an influence, and life also is an influence, okay, clearly. And in the, let's say, scientific circles, no one really questions dark matter. They say, okay, this is a plausible explanation, we have no idea. Unless someone else comes with a better theory, this is what is I think, being accepted right now. And also dark energy in 1998. Okay, the universe is expanding, discovered in 1929, but in 1998 it is discovered that it is expanding, okay, with acceleration. The velocity is increasing. And if the velocity is increasing, then there must be some energy involved. Where is that energy? We have no idea. So dark means we don't know. Dark energy it is called. That is that the scientists have no problem accepting the existence of things that they have no idea as to what it is, based on what is observed, to be consistent. Therefore, people should have no problem accepting the entity of life there. And life is subjective, not ontologically subjective, not objective. Why? Because it is not physical. You cannot show this molecule, this or whatever, living matter or life material or something. There is no such thing. Okay? There is no such thing. Therefore, the second property is subjective. And then some people again have, difficulty accepting the existence of subjective things, unless you can hold them, oh yeah, okay, this one, yes, I know it exists, see? I am holding it, I am hitting it. Subjective things, nothing to hold, nothing to see, nothing, okay? So are they really existing, okay? Well, they are in existence. For example, the image in the mirror, okay? Do we question their existence? Is it physical? No. You go to the front of the mirror, it comes into existence. Move to the side, it disappears. Physics don't do that. Okay? It is converted to each other, physical things. And let's say math, completely subjective. Okay? It is not, something physical. Does math exist? Of course, it's a mental entity, but it is there. And the most important is agency. Life manipulates physics. It is an agency. Now, the common notion right now is life is an emergent property. That is, when matter is organized in a certain way, it acquires life. Okay? So it is like acquires as a new property. They view life as a property. For example, hydrogen and nitrogen, hydrogen and oxygen, when they react, okay, they acquire the properties of water. Okay? But properties are passive. Life is active. Properties qualify the physical entity. Life subjugates the physical entity. It rules the physical entity. So it is very different. So it is not an emergent quality. Besides, if it were emergent, in the example of artificial seed, when I brought the matter together, formed the exact replica of it, then I would get again life there, but I don't. So life is not an emergent quantity, okay? It is an agent, okay? Therefore, what makes us us is really not our body. It is that life, which is the soul, which is non-physics, therefore beyond time and space, which means there is no such thing as dying for us. Physics is limited, but other things, it is not. And we often give the attributes of life to brain, but keep in mind that brain is a piece of meat, fatty meat, nothing else. A meat or matter cannot rule matter. You need a higher level existence, okay? It is simply an interface, okay? It is like in an airplane, okay? And they see the correlations between the, the signals that the patterns of, let's say, electromagnetic waves, this and that, okay? And they give it causal power, but it is just like in an airplane, if you look at the pilot cabin. Again, you will see a lot of lights, okay? And maybe forming patterns, whatever. And just imagine saying that those patterns fly the airplane, decide where it will land or something. It is not that way. There is a pilot there. If there is no pilot, it is a remote airplane. Again, there is a pilot outside. Okay? But unfortunately, if you limit your sight and existence with matter only, you are forced to say these things and to accept these things. Okay? If, let's say, you limit yourself with a materialistic philosophy there. Okay, let me pass these ones. Yeah.
I think so. We have very little time left. I think we can, I don't know if you have anything to add this part, we can do that. But I have one key question.
Okay.
So we can manage with that. So it's very clear from your presentation that, you basically saying that there are some things different than matter. That's life is an example, and it's the reality. It cannot be denied. It cannot be reduced to the matter or the law of physics. So, and in this case, that's basically, you describe how when life, what is the life and how it will function. The question here, I think, is for educators mainly, that when we cover subject on life, science says this is emerged through evolution. And in evolution, essentially, when we talk about life, particularly in schools, that's the major things that essentially there are environmental factors and material and with the interaction of the things. And somehow we just get the very first spark of life. And then over time, that sparks evolve and we get all this diversity. What is your view? And since it seems like you have really put a lot of time on life, and you think life is exceptionally, exceptional things in the whole universe. So what would be your answer to this evolutionary ideology?
Okay, first of all, if you limit yourself, again, your thinking, with a materialistic philosophy, okay, then you kind of have to resort to such theories based on physics only. Kind of see physics as the source of everything. Okay? This is an ideological imposition. It is not an objective observation. First of all, okay, if you, let's say if you read the biology books, for example, they say, you know, the early universe, and then there's a lightning, this and that, little, you know, part, a little material there, warm, a lot of things. And then life appeared. Where is the evidence? Where is the evidence? At that time, we had very wild environment. Right now, the environment is more conducive to life. And life has never appeared by itself, randomly. There is no observation. Therefore, that theory is not scientific. It is ideology. And many people say that. And for the origin of life, there are many theories. Some say it came from space, some, you know, other things. No one is satisfactory because they look for life in physics. Physics don't have life. Okay? Therefore, all those are theories. They are there, but they are not, you know, put into the tests, as I am doing here with this presentation. And do they believe it? Probably not, even in the US. When they survey people, okay, all that, you know, secular education, do they believe in evolution or creation? In fact, that question is, I think, really senseless because you can never ask, do you believe in science? Science is fact, reality. If you ask them, do you believe in this, okay, that means it is a matter of opinion, okay? For example, do you believe in gravity? What? We never ask that question. But do you believe, let's say, in it? That means it is something you have to believe, like, you know, believe in God or something. So I think the whole thing is certainly not pleasant, okay, but nothing is perfect in that regard there. So they have no idea, and it is the reason I am saying that they have to open up to non-physics. Life is clearly non-physics. It is not chemical reaction, because the smallest life we have is a cell, and in a single cell, we have like 70 trillion atoms, which means trillions of molecules together. This is the smallest. And the activities in there, all those things, okay? Let's say you, I don't know, give some electricity, boil something, pour this chemical, and wait for life to emerge. Never happened. So, what is the basis for claiming it did happen? No basis, just opinion. Okay, and then let's say evolution things. If you wait millions of years, I think that needle example. Okay, a needle. Even if you wait a billion years, okay, you will not get a needle formed by itself, because if you limit existence to matter, energy, and laws and force of physics, okay, you cannot even get a needle from them. And archaeology is, I think, the witness of that. And then sewing machine, forget it. Okay? Forget it. Living beings, oh boy. Oh boy. A single cell, for example, okay? Phew. So I think the whole thing is, I think, I don't know if, yeah, without being offensive, what word I can use there.
Yeah. To you, it's very clear. And it's obviously you don't use directly, let's say, you know, use agency saying that there must be creator as a believer, right? So, but most other people around the world, particularly educated one, accept evolution, and most other people really thinks that once you get the laws and the matters and the Big Bang, you can get everything. So, and what seems to you to be complete nonsense seems to them very very reasonable and scientific. What is that? Why is the case?
Yeah, maybe we don't do a good job, explaining the other side. It is the reason that, after years of being scientist, engineer, I thought this is very important because I think my God-given ability is to see things that are not quite easily seeable and to reduce things to the simplest possible case. Okay, it is the reason that I entered into this field. So I am spending a lot of time to balance that by simply entering into argument on evolution or whatever. Because keep in mind that evolution also, if let's say there are 10 parts, 5 parts are science. When you object, they show the scientific parts, which are true. Okay, what is non-science is ideology. That is, everything is done randomly. There is nothing behind the scenes with intent, purpose, knowledge, power to do it. Okay? Random. Because they say, see, from this creature to that creature, let's say 80% is the same. Yeah, I can say that, I don't disagree with that. This is, I think, iPhone 12 or 13, I don't know. Okay? Take, let's say, iPhone 14, okay? You can see the resemblance. And the statement, iPhone 14 came from iPhone 13. Hey, it is, fine. I don't object because a lot of things are, common, okay? But that is not the question. The question is, did iPhone 14 simply appeared randomly from this? That is, some, I don't know, storms, lightning, this and that, whatever, and this becomes iPhone 14. There is no such thing. Okay? I say, yeah, okay, it came from this. I say, possible. But between iPhone 13 and iPhone 14, there is an army of engineers, army of code writers, an army of user surveys, this and that. Okay, I think it is not a random process. Behind the scenes, there is a lot of things. Okay, otherwise, whether it is from zero, iPhone 14, or from, let's say, was simply changing. See, I don't care, and it doesn't make any difference. Whichever is easier, I will do that as an engineer. Most likely, I start with this one. Kind of, change the microphone, change that thing, change that part. Use the same things. It is the the shortest, the easiest way. Okay, but it doesn't mean that iPhone 14 just appeared out of nowhere from this one. That is the key issue there. Okay. Otherwise, how did God, let's say, create human being? Did He start from the monkey? I don't know, and I don't care. Okay. Maybe did that because God always chooses the straightest path, the easiest. Or maybe from the zero. It doesn't make any difference. Is there someone who did that? Or is it just, random? It is a question. Sometimes we also avoid the question. Kind of, get into arguments with no end. It is the reason that I never enter any argument on evolution. It is really, to me, a fairy tale. Evolution did this, evolution did that, evolution. It is like, take the word, put God in its place, okay? It will be like, an Islamic story. God did this, God did that, whatever. They present evolution as a powerful, knowledgeable agent. There is no such thing. Anyway, I'll stop here. Again, you can share the presentations.
Yeah,